A lot of people say that the monks are very selfish, that they spend all their time working on themselves, and that this way of life doesn't really benefit anybody else very much. But it's benefited me enormously, because what they're doing is living a teaching, and they're making it work, and showing other people that they can make it work too. That's one of the things that they do to help. They just act as a kind of a living embodiment of the teaching.
Well, if it hadn't been for this practice and this teaching, I would have ended up in a nut house. You do some meditation, and you conduct yourself very mindfully and peacefully. You get insights into the way your own mind's going round in its own particular short circuits. And you break through a lot of neurotic behaviour patterns, and you find yourself coping with the world again, simply because this training's shown you how to look into your own mind.
Even the most menial work can be regarded as a form of meditation if it's carried out with awareness. The aim of the training is to make them constantly aware of the present moment. Since monks are forbidden to till the soil, this is done by a novice or layman. One of the community is a former property millionaire who now seeks a different kind of satisfaction.
No, not digging. Just the weed. I'll show you. You see?
Okay. In charge of the gardens is Walter Stangl. As a German soldier in the last war, he was imprisoned by the Russians in Siberia. For some years, he was a Buddhist monk himself, but most recently he's worked as a head gardener at Kew. Now he's decided to devote the rest of his life to this community.
You see, you take it off, put it here in. Yeah. Through Buddhism, I found out more or less or a little bit who I am, and I'm still discovering how little I am. Buddha said, don't believe in me, what I say. Just find out for yourself, not believing and thinking it's this is or that this way. Stand on your own feet. Be your own explorer, your own discoverer, and see what is on. What's the meaning of life? What's the purpose to be here? Is it just the purpose here to accumulate money, property, houses and cars and all the rest of it? I don't think so. There must be something else. And I feel Buddhism is coming more and more to Europe. We are tired in this saying, believe in me and follow me. Now, this Buddhism is coming to waken up people, to find out for themselves, what is it?
The Buddha taught that understanding is more important than believing, and that enlightenment doesn't come in the form of grace from a divine power, but as a result of man's own efforts to understand the teaching. Here the monks are performing a ceremony for a couple who've recently been married. The groom was once a monk himself. There's no dishonor in having disrobed, since Buddhists accept that all states are subject to change. Buddhist ceremonies aren't considered as sacred, merely as a means of focusing the mind, and they don't always have to be conducted with solemnity. At the end of the ceremony, they tie a thread as a gesture of good luck. Even the cat benefits from the ritual sprinkling.
We'll probably get letters from me.
Doris. Who'd be a Buddhist cat?
Soon after their arrival, the monks were visited by 3 senior members of the Anglican clergy. The local rural dean is Canon Hayman.
could be asked why you come from another culture wearing the particular robes that you do wear into our society, which has a long, rich tradition of spirituality and meditation.
When I was asked to come to England, people would say, are you going to wear those robes? They'll only repel people. People will think you're some kind of hippie or freak, and that it will not help Buddhism at all. You should dress for the particular cultural setting you're going to. And then we reflected on this for a while, and we thought, but yet this is only a matter of opinion. It has to be tried first, because symbolically these robes have a tremendous amount of value, and the color, the shaven head, and all these are symbolic of those who leave the home life for the homeless life. Like shaving the head is a way of saying I'm giving up the worldly life, because hair can be a great sign of vanity and attraction. But we're not here to criticize or to fault find with the society, but to show by our own example a way that is possible to live in this society without being caught in the foolishness of it.
But not all local Christians were so willing to listen. Pastor Carter is a minister from the Evangelical Church.
Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. I am the door. And what's happening? All these false religions are coming in from the East. False cults are coming in from America. We're dabbling in the occult, and this is not the answer. The answer is found in the Lord Jesus Christ. And so come back to your question. I'm sorry, and I'm grieved that England is now turning to all these false religions which are not really the answer. Buddha is dead, but Jesus Christ is alive. It is a great responsibility, but it is a joyful responsibility to go and tell all mankind about the love of the Lord Jesus Christ.
Hello. My name is Pastor Carter from the Haslemere Evangelical Church. How do you do? Now, I come to you from all the Bible-believing Christians in this area, and I've come to tell you the great message that Jesus Christ loves you, and he died for you to save you from your sin, and he's living today. I was only speaking to him this morning. He's a living Lord. He's a living Lord. And I've come to...
The monks willingly accepted the gift of a Bible, but they made no attempt to convert the pastor in their turn. Buddhism today doesn't try to make converts, but the monks were happy to explain their views to anyone who was interested. They were invited to the home of Brigadier and Mrs. Chatterton.
I think it's very interesting that young people are turning to, if I may say so, Buddhism or that form of spiritual situation, because the Christian church hasn't got the hold that it had. I mean, it's only 11% of 52 million people. Yeah. It doesn't grip, does it?
Doesn't seem to.
No, that's the point.
We see religions, any religion, as a convention or a tool or some kind of vehicle which we use in order to transcend the worldly suffering, the cycle of birth and death, in order to be one with the ultimate truth. And I think in Christianity, maybe the conventions they use, the words are different, the way they talk, but it all is pointing in the same direction, at that which is, say, beyond description, that which we call immortal, or beyond birth and death, that which is perfect and complete. Yeah. We're not claiming that ours is the only true path, but it is one of the conventions that we, through our own personal practice and experience, have found very useful and beneficial.
The main problem when one religion tries to understand another is the lack of a common vocabulary. This is what the local clergymen hoped to find. They showed the monks around a former Christian priory, which seemed a suitable setting for a metaphysical discussion.
When you are meditating, are you having any regard to what we would call God?
I'd be very shy of using the word God. I would say that it's becoming aware of the way things are, the way your mind is, the way that your mind works, but the way that all things are interconnected, interrelated. It's opening yourself up to that which is beyond your immediate knowledge and realizing there is something beyond that, that which arises and that which passes away, that which is mortal, that which is born and dies. But whatever that is, you can't understand it and you can't name it.
What I'm worried about is that we don't seem to have a word which we can both use to describe what we're seeking. If I'm seeking ultimate truth, and if the abbot and Buddhist monks are seeking the ultimate truth, and if we accept that the ultimate truth cannot alter or be anything different, then there must be some way in which we can communicate with each other. The world will separate us, right? He's a Buddhist, I'm a Christian. But intrinsically, basically, in what I'm doing, I feel that there is as much between you and me as there is between any other worshipping and sincere and devout Christian. So that I can see it gets anywhere.
Local clergymen like the Reverend Christopher Boxley feel they personally can find a meeting point. But for the Church of England as a whole, does the presence of Buddhism in any way pose a threat?
It can't be bad if it's something that challenges you. And the presence of Buddhists in rural West Sussex, which is traditionally the sort of heart of the Church of England, the challenge in itself must be something which says, well, what is this tradition? If our tradition is worth anything, the tradition of Christianity, the tradition that many of us have been prepared to die for and all sorts of things, really, what is it saying? The old argument of the Church of England being the Tory party at prayer. I mean, this is something which does put a lot of young people off. We need somehow to say that beyond the dreariness, beyond the formality, beyond everything that you associate with churches and boredom, there is a tradition of seeking the truth. The Buddhists have given us, or by being here, give us the opportunity to look at our own traditions and, I hope, to preserve what is worthwhile in those traditions, but to have the courage also to say about some of them that really they're not worth keeping.
It's early days yet to see how Sussex will take to Buddhism. But it doesn't seem likely that familiar rituals will be abandoned in favour of Sunday afternoons in the lotus position. By comparison with the active pursuits of rural Sussex, Buddhist meditation might seem a rather passive and therefore unrewarding pastime. The monks don't condemn the active life, but their hope is to demonstrate to their neighbours that the most effective actions come from a still mind, and that the path to the still mind is meditation. The Buddha said, when a man attains wisdom through the teaching, he becomes serene and at peace, like a lake, which is deep, clear, and still.
Many people say Buddhism is very nihilistic, which, when you look at it in terms of you, your little self, living in this vast universe, it is. It's a total annihilation in a sense. But it's an annihilation of that small-minded way of looking at the world, always from you, ego-centered thing. But that's not all there is. And when that dies, something very beautiful comes into being. And that's the side of people who don't understand when they make that accusation. And as I've seen with people who've meditated, the more they've stuck it and meditated and their self has been ground away, they just start to blossom. It's incredible. I mean, if that's death, I mean, that's fine with me.
All this can never be fully understood if all we do is talk about it. Just as we can never know whether an apple tastes sweet or sour unless we actually taste it for ourselves.
เหมือนเราธรรมะที่แท้จริงเหมือนรสของแอปเปิ้ล
The ultimate truth is like the flavor of an apple, which you can't see with the eye or hear with the ear. The only way to experience it is to put the teaching into practice. Once you've tasted it, you'll no longer be in any doubt about its flavor, and you won't have to ask anyone else. The problem will be solved.
ปัญหามันจบที่ตรงนั้นเอง
Right up. Not far enough, really. Three going. What? Three people, if there's one off the petrol.
We invite you to come and visit us. We invite you to come and visit us.
Oh, that's very kind of you. We'd love to, yes.
So you can see what we're doing.
When you're... what you're up to.
What we're up to.